There was a time in your life when you looked at people who were great at something and wondered what made them different. Maybe you thought they were born gifted, lucky, or naturally talented. But deep down, a part of you always knew the truth: greatness isn't something you're handed. It's something you build, quietly, slowly, and often when the world isn't paying attention. And your story begins in those quiet, hidden moments where you showed up even when you didn't feel ready. You remember the early days, don't you, when you first tried something new? You weren't perfect, you weren't even good. You felt clumsy, confused, maybe even embarrassed. Your first attempts didn't look like success, they looked like failure. But what you didn't realize then was that failure wasn't the opposite of progress, it was progress in disguise. Each mistake you made taught you something. Each wrong move pushed you one step closer to the right one. You didn't start with confidence, you built it one small, imperfect step at a time. And there were moments, real moments, when you wanted to quit. Times when the frustration felt heavier than the dream. Times when you questioned your ability, your path, or whether it was even worth it. You were tired, you were discouraged, you felt alone. But even in those moments, you didn't walk away. Maybe you took a break, maybe you sat down and breathed. But somewhere inside you, a small voice kept whispering, "Try again." And you did. That voice, your perseverance, became your quiet superpower. As life kept moving, you watched others relax, waste time, scroll endlessly, or procrastinate because they were waiting for the perfect moment, but not you. At least not anymore. You learned something life-changing. There is no perfect moment, just the moment you choose to begin. While others pushed their dreams into tomorrow, you started building yours today. While they relied on talent, you relied on practice. And practice, it never fails the people who stay loyal to it. Slowly, almost invisibly, things started to shift. At first your progress was so small that even you couldn't see it. But eventually, the things that once felt impossible began to feel natural. The way you worked changed. Your results changed, you changed, and people began to notice. They might have called you talented or naturally gifted without ever understanding what really happened behind the scenes. They didn't see the hours you spent improving, stumbling, repeating, refining. They saw the results, but practice saw the journey. But then life threw challenges your way, setbacks, disappointments, failures that felt unfair or unexpected. There were moments that shook your confidence and made you question whether you were still on the right path. Moments when everything inside you said, "Maybe I should stop," but you didn't. You remembered something vital. You didn't start because you were great, you started because you wanted to become great. And that reminder, that spark, was enough to pull you back to your feet. With time, practice didn't just make you better at your craft, it made you stronger as a person. You stopped comparing yourself to others and instead began competing with the version of yourself from yesterday. You developed patience, resilience, and discipline. You learned that consistency matters more than motivation. And you learned that every time you practiced, you weren't only training your skill, you were shaping your character. Then came the moment you had been preparing for. The opportunity, the test, the performance. The challenge that would show you who you had become. And when that moment arrived, instead of fear, you felt readiness. Because you had seen that moment 1,000 times before in every practice session, every failure, every quiet victory. You didn't panic, you didn't doubt, you simply did what you had trained yourself to do. And you succeeded not because of luck, but because of preparation. Your story, yes, your real story, is proof that success doesn't come from shortcuts, magical abilities, or perfect timing. It comes from practice, from showing up again and again, even when it's hard, even when progress is slow, even when no one is watching. You earned your growth, you earned your improvement. And the person you've become isn't a product of talent, it's a product of commitment. So as you look toward your next dream, your next goal, your next challenge, remember this: you don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to start. You don't need to know everything. You don't need all the answers, you just need the courage to practice. To take small steps, to be consistent, because every time you practice, you move closer to the person you're meant to become. Your greatness isn't waiting for the future. It's being built right now every time you show up. And the truth is simple: the power you're searching for is already in your hands. All you have to do is practice.